Hello and welcome to the Rising Show. And today I have a very special guest, Seth. Seth, how are you?
I'm well, Vivek. How are you?
I'm good. Can you take a minute and tell us what you do in very brief? Because we'll go into all the details later on.
Push-ups mostly. And I'm a little offended that you couldn't guess that. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Vivek, for having me here. It's a pleasure to chat with you. So what do we do? What do I do? I hang out on LinkedIn and I make jokes sometimes. They're funny. But for work, patient acquisition. We are a patient acquisition firm which leverages consumer data to identify the most likely and most qualified people for a specific service line or procedure. And we put ads directly in front of those people.
Well, it is a big undertaking, this one. And somebody who has been in this space for very long, myself, I understand the intricacy of it a lot better than many people. And which is why today's episode is so important to our listeners. And there is a lot of people who have interest in this topic. I can bet on that.
No pressure for me. No pressure at all.
No pressure. Before we go and dig the business side, let's go back in time and tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Where were you born? Where were you raised? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? And is either of your parents an entrepreneur?
It's a great question. All great questions. So I was born in Philadelphia. Only lived there for the first 4 years of my life. My wife says I can't claim it, but I'm going to go ahead and claim it. I'm from Philly. And moved down here to South Florida, a little town called Boca Raton. My father was an entrepreneur. He had he was a medical distributor, in fact, for a little company called Medtronic. I don't know if you've heard of them. He sold TENS units back in the late 70s, early 80s. And he told me stories about a Rolodex and a pager and rolls of quarters in his Toyota Corona that he would roll around to his accounts. And, when you're an entrepreneur, you have your business, but then the business might shift based on your client's needs, right? Like you have to be able to pivot, not just to stay relevant, but to serve your clients. So he pivoted because one of his accounts was like, he said to them one day, he's like, are you okay? You seem like you like you're not okay. Is everything all right? Everything at home? And the doc said, "Oh, I just had it up to here with my billing service. Do you know? Can you do billing? Can you do our billing?" And my dad said, "Sure, yeah." So that's how he got into medical billing. And that was like, mid to late 80s, back when, computers were like this new thing, right? I don't know how they did it back then. Oh man. So yeah, I didn't always want to be an entrepreneur, and it's not like I don't have a problem working for someone else. Like I don't have like I respect authority, and I get it. There's a hierarchy, and I can roll with it and, play nice with everyone in the sandbox. But I don't know, things just happen, right? I don't think I had a lemonade stand growing up, but, in college, I did, I had a business and so, yeah, I guess, I look at things and I don't call myself an entrepreneur. I have a job that I made myself for myself, and I do it, and I really enjoy what I do. And if I don't really want to do that anymore, right? I feel like people have jobs and we all have to work, and not just for the ability to, earn a living and take care of our families. And, we all like stuff. Most of us like stuff. But I think that there's an intrinsic aspect of it, of like doing something, caring about what it is, feeling like whatever station you're in, that little tiny corner of whatever industry or whatever you do, like that it's important, and you do something positive within that little area. So healthcare for me wasn't really like a calling and I need to help people. I mean, like, that's great. I'm the farthest thing from a clinician. Like, keep me out of clinical. I'm not really interested in that. Like, I don't have a problem with blood and stuff, but like, I don't know. It's all gross to me. I don't like, honestly, I don't know how else to say it. I'm a little more comfortable in the business office with the nerds up there, which is fine with me. But I just like went off on 16 tangents, Vivek. You can like snap me back into place.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did I roundabout answer your question?
Yes, yes. And of course, I saw your career trajectory, and it's very fascinating. So you've been from a professional touring drummer to a trial technician, and now you're in healthcare marketing. Can you walk through how you ended up? Like, how does it all connected for you?
Um, I could try to connect that, but it would make zero sense. There's no connection. I think I just kind of like, you know, when the wind blows and it just kind of, that's kind of what it is. And I wish I had like a more concrete, like, look, this is the path that you need to follow. You need to set yourself, like, nah, man. Like, there's opportunities and there's things and you meet people and there's things that come out, and when you don't have much direction, kind of go wherever you want. And like, when I was younger, didn't have a mortgage, didn't have a family, there's like, whereas I wanted this stability and like these things, it was like, well, like, you got a whole sack of freedom here. You could just go and do, and kind of, so I certainly took advantage of that. And like, look, man, you got to try a lot of stuff before you find out not only what you like, but what you're good at. And I feel like it's a disservice to yourself to find something you're not good at, that you don't want to be good at, and make yourself do that thing. Like, just like, let's all play to our strengths, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Look, I'm a staunch supporter of like continual learning and education, and always be open and learning new things. And not when it gets hard, don't hang it up. Like, keep, push through. Like, nothing easy happens, but it's okay to play to your strengths, and it's okay to say, like, I really don't like, bookkeeping, so I'm going to find a solution so that I don't have to make myself miserable and do bookkeeping, right? And I think that's what being an entrepreneur is figuring out a way to get to the objective that you're looking for in the easiest and most effective and efficient way. So, man, when you went through like all my things, it's so like disjointed, and it just seems so like frenetic, and I might be a bit of a wacko, but that's okay.
What led to you for this business? Like, was it I'm sure, like, your dad moved into billing because of a reason that you
Right.
told me.
So he moved into billing, and I found myself kind of getting a lot more interested in healthcare. So it was kind of a no-brainer. So I came on board with him. Nepotism works, but it was like, it's not that kind of thing. Like, daddy didn't give me a job. He did, but it was like, look, man, I'm showing up on time. Put me on this team, right? And like, throw me in the deep end. Like, I need some guidance, because most of this stuff doesn't make any sense to like a logical human being. So I'm going to need to like learn. But, and I was with a great team, and these people are just like, revenue cycle experts. They're a different breed, right? They speak a different language. They kind of like, they see things in a much different way. And I thought I knew what a curmudgeon was, but like, these people, like, Vivek, for the first like 3 months on a denials management team, like, I would come home and I was pretty angry. I was really affected by my day. And my wife said, she's like, what? Like, you don't know these patients? Like, you don't even know all these clients that you're doing the billing for. Like, you don't have a dog in the fight. Like, why are you so affected by this? And I told her, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. And it's so just like bananas. And like, and I've told the story before, call Florida Blue on a simple denied claim, right? On hold, to talk to an associate is probably like, maybe average 17 minutes. Great. And if you talk to 3 different reps on the same claim, each one of those reps will give you a different course of action to take to correct that claim. And it's like, okay. And so you see these physicians and these groups working harder and spinning their wheels. Sure, the company was in business to do this. Like the insurance whole machine supports an entire other industry outside of itself just on their business practice. The whole thing is just gross. And the patients don't win. The physicians don't win. So while I was doing this job and learning and just like real frustrated, and there were some small wins, some tiny victories there we're celebrating. I started to think about ways that we could move the revenue needle for private practices that didn't have anything to do with billing. This group was pretty buttoned up. Over 90s were very lean. We had a system and a process, and we stayed on top of it. So it was good. But let's figure out how these groups can make more money. So I did a deep dive, and I took a marketing class in college. That was like years ago. So I don't have this like dyed in the wool marketing background. So I did a bunch of research on what was available at the retail level, right? Private practices and certain specialties. And I realized that, most of the marketing solutions were just kind of like, they were all pretty generic and nebulous in terms of results. And, when you hire a marketing agency or a firm, whether they're doing creative or whether they're, branding and like developing your narrative and your colors and you're kind of, building your website or, reviews or something like that. Like these are all requirements now. These are not features these are required.
Yep.
And when we talk about, and we accept the fact that healthcare marketing is not native to healthcare. It never was. So now you have another business function that providers and groups are required to do that nobody really knows like the best way, and everybody's just trying to like do the same thing, and everyone's frustrated. And of course it's private practice healthcare, so everyone's wearing multiple hats, and there's like fires all over the place, and everybody's kind of running. And oh yeah, that's right, the patients. We have to worry about the patient experience and what kind, because they're people and they're coming to us for help, and we're here like, all right. So I saw an opportunity to do something that was gently outside of that vanilla flavor of patient acquisition. And that's when we didn't invent this. It's called hyper-targeted marketing, leveraging, people-based marketing, where traditional marketing starts with the product or the service. And you pick the channels that you're going to use. You make your ads, do your arts and crafts, and then you put the ad out on those channels, and you hope that the people that need to see those ads see them. So we just like a little quick shift. Instead of starting with the product or the service, we start with the people most likely to need that product or service, right? So when you start with that in mind, you can get really crispy with who you are looking for and who you're talking to. And if a practice says, when you ask and you say, well, who are you looking to treat? Like, who are your best patients? Oh, we want to treat everybody. I get it. But if you want to treat everybody, your marketing will end up speaking to nobody, because you have to really get specific and crispy with who you're looking for and who you're talking to. So, we started this company in 2019, and, we fell up the stairs in a lot of ways, like figuring out like where we fit in. The first year, I'm like, oh, you're in healthcare? Well, you have to use us because we're going to, and I quickly learned that no, not everyone's a good fit for us for a number of different reasons. And that's once I became okay with that, once I truly accepted that not everyone is a good fit for us, everything started getting much easier, right? I didn't feel like I was forcing it and like chasing it. It was like, oh, we know who we are. We know what we can do. If it makes sense for everyone, let's explore doing it together, right? So it's not this whole like super competitive, like go, go, go. Like we're not interested in, you know, hammering, 20 clients a month. We're bringing them on and we have teams. Nah, no. Matthew Ray Scott said something very impactful that I paid attention to years ago. He said, like, how small is big enough? And I want to be able to make a living, provide for my family. I want to be able to enjoy myself and like have time with my kid and my wife and do the things that I want some level of freedom. I don't want to be chained to the company. And I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just like bright-siding this whole thing. I feel like the bigger it gets, the more people you hire, the more accounts you have, the more verticals you're in, the more tech you engage. Like the bigger the machine gets, and I feel like there's a critical mass where you're not running it anymore, and it's running you, and you are pulled in these directions because you have to be, as opposed to being able to manage. And sure, there's times like, you get spread a little thin because maybe you bit off more than you could chew, but okay, we can work with that. So I don't know. I think that, look, I'm not going to be the one who's going to fix healthcare, right? There's way too much wrong with it. And it's pretty silly. But what I can do is, help the people that want what we can do and who are looking for a different effective way to reach a very specific group of their patient population. I'm sorry, of their market, and turn them into their patient population.
And you use this term for your strategy, which is the searchless strategy. Can you explain what it means and how it works, just very briefly, and why you believe it is the future of patient acquisition in healthcare?
Vivek, we've been on this call for like 15 minutes. Do you think I can do anything briefly? I'm gonna try. Okay, so searchless. We all know what search is, right? We don't use any of it. We don't use any SEO. We don't leverage any PPC. Searchless means we identify the people that you want to meet and treat. We identify them based on their consumer data, their demographics, and their psychographics. We know where these people live. We know where they go online. We know all of these things about them. All compliant, all opt-in, all first party. We're not buying lists and matching back. And everybody who is in our audience, 250 million people in this country, have opted in at some point with us through our partners or developers or publishers or, credit bureaus or somewhere in the consumer journey. So we identify these people, and along with their consumer data, we also leverage known device IDs. So depending on the channels that we're using, we can put your advertisement directly in front of these people on repeat. So the theory, it started out as a theory, but we prove it correct every campaign we run. People who are in pain may be searching the internet for solutions. People rarely search the internet if their knee pain is a 2 or a 3. If they just feel some mild pain, they're probably going to take some ibuprofen and maybe get a knee brace. And until their daily lives are not affected, they're probably not going to do anything about that. Nobody is trying to be in front of those people, and they should. Because the sooner you can get in front of a consumer who has a slight need right now, not knee, but need. That was pretty cute. Also confusing. If you could be first in line as a solution that they need now or they might need in a few months, then you're going to win. People don't search the internet when they already know, right? Now, friends and family and referral from a doctor, it's like, okay, those are great. And someone, a well-informed consumer is going to take to the internet and do their research, do their due diligence and say, does this specialist align with me? Is it convenient? Do I have confidence in their ability to solve my problem? So when you can put your message of care in front of the people most likely to need you on repeat, month after month, what do you think is going to happen? Right? And it's, look, we have the ability to show our clients who opt in, who was in our campaign, who also became a patient, right? So the biggest problem in marketing is in healthcare marketing is the inability to connect your spend with revenue, right? Lots of practices are looking at, well, our totals from December of 24 were, 20% greater than our new patient totals from December of 23. So it's working. Okay. Yeah, it's working. To wait a year to determine whether it's working or not, and to not have the visibility on the dollars and cents, and I think healthcare might be the only industry where it's like so elusive, right? It doesn't have to be. And there's some sophisticated groups out there that are doing it at a real granular level, and they know their numbers and they know what they need to do and the levers they need to pull or push to shift those numbers. So, man, I totally messed up, Vivek. You asked if I could explain it briefly. Man, boy, I'm terrible.
Okay. So outside of your business, and this is a hot topic on the internet, can we please talk about your mustache?
Oh, really? My mustache is a hot topic on the internet? That's fun.
Yeah, right. Like, it has become your signature.
Normally, I would say, what mustache? That's always fun when someone says they like it. So you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So was this intentional, first of all, when you first had it? And then you said, like, you know what, that helps me differentiate, or at least use it as a brand story of you being you, and then how it happened, and then tell me, like, if it's really working.
Yeah. So all great questions. And I think about it often, my mustache, but I don't think about like that question and how it relates to like what I'm doing here. So historically, I was a beard guy. I like to say I was a beard guy before beards were cool. No offense, Vivek, yours looks great. Do you color yours? Because it looks like it's very youthful. You look very young. It looks good.
I tried different colors.
No, really?
My favorite is burgundy, but my wife won't allow it anymore because
old red beard, nada. So I used to be a beard guy, and then I realized that when I shaved the beard, I got like 15 years younger, and I also lost like 10 pounds immediately. So I'm like, oh man, okay. So then COVID happened, and I was like, man, I grew a beard, and then I shaved except for the mustache, and I was like, no, I've never done this before. I was a big fake mustache guy, right? I had a whole bunch of fake mustache. We play dress up and like go to parties and like whatever. Yeah, man, it's fun. It's fun. A great time. I used to be real fun. And so I grew it, and I don't know. It just kind of, I didn't grow it intentionally because I'm in marketing. It's just like, these are two separate things. So it just kind of like happened. And yeah, I got, the tweezers and the heat comb, and I might talk about my stash stack another time, and all kinds of waxes and oils and salves and stuff. But if you ask my wife what she thinks about it, she will look you straight faced in the eyes and she will say, I love how much he enjoys it. And I think that's a nice thing. And she also goes on to say, she'll say, look, as dudes, you guys can't pop a smoky eye on. You can't do like a dark like lip liner and like fix your fat. Like you can't wear like a fun bag or like put your hair like you got nothing. You got the hair on your head, you got the hair on your face, and like your clothes, and that's it. So like, you want to flex, like do whatever you want. So I did that. I did this, and I guess it's my thing now. But good news is that if I ever wanted to disappear, all right, just go incognito, just shave it. Just shave it off. Just like, there it is. There it is. He's gone. He's gone. Where's Seth? I remember that guy. What happened to him? I don't know. And I could just be right there. Maybe change my name to Vivek. I don't think I could pass. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. But do you think it opens up conversations for you wherever you go now?
Yeah, sure. And people like, one thing, I was at my doctor's office, and there's an old man there, and I was like yucking it up with the girl behind the counter. I'm a pretty fun patient because healthcare is miserable for the workers. Like they work so hard. So if you can come in there and like just genuinely make someone's day a little better, like it's like, okay, cool, that's good. And I sat down after making some jokes with my friend, and this old guy was sitting there, and he's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm in marketing. And he looked at me and he goes, of course you are. And I was like, oh man, damn, I like literally feel seen. That's thank you. Like, okay, cool. Then it works. Yeah, it's a conversation starter, right? And you can't have a mustache like this and not want people to talk about it or you. Like you can't be like, what? Oh, yeah, it's my mustache. Thanks. Like, what, man? Come on, dude. Like, I went 2 years ago, 2023. I went ahead and I entered the nationals. I was in nationals, Vivek. I was in the national beard and mustache competition. It was in Daytona, Florida, and I was in one of the 11 mustache categories. I'm not kidding you. There's 11 categories of mustaches, and I was in the groomed mustache category. And let me tell you something. It felt pretty nice to finally be in a room where I had the smallest one, right? I'm talking about mustaches. We, like these guys were like, it was such a vibe in this room. Like everybody, and like, I'm talking some of the craziest things you have ever seen on someone's face. Just like intricate. And like one guy had like a beard that connected to his neck that had these swirlies, and like he couldn't like move his head, and it was like a whole thing. Like it was bizarre. You go up to anyone in that room and you want to talk to them, friendliest group of dudes ever. Like everyone's like, yeah, oh hey, what? And it's just like this brotherhood, this weird brotherhood of beards and mustaches. It was great. I'm like, man, these are my people. It was wild. It was great. I got smoked, by the way. I didn't even place. It was like, they were like, what, who, what? Yeah, great. Got some good story, made some nice friends, and got some swag. And so that's cool. I'm okay with it. I'm all right.
Hey, I totally, on, camp set, you should use it. It is a conversation starter, and it suits you. Go for it. Make conversation. Get whatever it takes to get you. Like, it's perfect. It works.
I agree. Thank you, Vivek. And look, when you're ready to add some curly tips or something, do something funky, like, you let me know. I can help you out. It's on your mustache journey.
Yeah. I try it sometimes. It doesn't look that good. That's why I haven't taken that step. I don't have a beautiful face like you.
You do. You got to commit, man. You got to commit. Don't tell your wife I said it. You got to commit. That's it. It just takes time.
All right. So now a little bit technical question, advertising side, especially on patient acquisition. So your approach is obviously, it's effective across various specialties. You can like go from one specialty to another pretty quickly for you as you serve your client base, or is it like, no, certain specialties is where you serve?
Sure. Certain specialties are where we serve. There has to be a couple things. One, there has to be revenue to support our program. We're not an entry level. I wouldn't say we're expensive, right? Because relative to what? We're not your starter marketing program. So there needs to be revenue behind the service. Primary care is not real great for us. And there also needs to be our ability to identify these consumers who you want as patients by certain attributes and select, right? Those demographics and psychographics. So if we can build a persona around what your best patient looks like, yeah, we can do it. And then what we do is we like to look at the runway, I call it, the runway for care. Acute injuries, things like sports medicine or pediatric orthopedics, these are great, very low runway for care. These people just need to know that they can be seen today, get an x-ray. Do I need to RICE or does this thing need some more care? Things like total joints or spine, these have a longer runway for care. And it's funny, specialists usually don't consider the patient journey, right? Specialists just know that they grab the chart, they see the patient's name, and they walk into the room, and there's the patient. They don't understand, kind of what went on for weeks, possibly months before to have that patient be sitting right there. So I think that, we need to take that into account because we need to kind of consult with our clients effectively what they can expect. If it is a long runway for care, well, sure, we can start our campaign and you're going to get some calls. You're going to get some patients out of the gate. These are the people who are in need and in market for you and your services. And then it might dip down. And as we stay in front of this audience, it's going to start ticking up. And, we've run a total joint campaign every month for the last 5 years for one of our clients, pretty much evergreen. We've tweaked the audience here and there, but they're consistent. They are consistently seeing net new patients. About 20% of all their patients seen are net new from our programs because we've kept the gas on. And this audience now knows who they are, right? They're familiar with the brand and where the location is, or the locations rather, and the specialists that work there. So it's just a matter of when that patient is in need, they know where to go. Revenue is the biggest, driver of whether or not we can do this. Because if it doesn't make sense for our clients, like, no.
Yeah, and it's not constrained by the location, right? You can do it across any country, across the whole country, wherever you can create that data set.
Correct.
Okay.
This country, we do have capabilities in Canada. We are exploring some medical tourism. If so patients in the Great White North of Canada have a need and want to skip the line and get care sooner, come here to the States and they'll know exactly where to go.
Yeah. And just as a best practice for marketeers who might be listening to this show, from your point of view, there's a big thing about like, run patient ads, but then look at the location and then you have to put a radius that, okay, this is the max possible. What you have seen the, ideal, is it like 10 miles, 20 miles maximum radius for, people around that clinic? Or is it like, really 5 miles? What's the best practice you've seen?
It depends on the service line and it depends on, the procedure, the ailment, right? It also depends on how densely populated that market is, right? Are you talking about, Richmond, Virginia? Pretty densely populated and there's like a lot of competition depending on what you're looking for. Like, or are you talking about Shreveport? Not as populated, not as many providers. So, usually the lesser populated areas, we're going to go out farther. But you have to consider, like, is someone going to drive 2 hours? They might, depending on the care and depending on how we're positioning that practice. Or are we running a campaign for the specialist, right? For that physician, that surgeon? to make them known in this area as the go-to for this service, because we can do that as well. If we're running campaigns for an entire clinic, then we have to be strategic. Where are these people in our audience? Where are they? How far are they willing to travel? And look, there's a lot of learning that goes on in the first, 3 or 4 months of a campaign. We need to learn about the engagement of this audience. We have to learn how they're not just engaging with our ads, but are they showing up? Are they coming in? And like what these numbers look like. Do we need to go outside, or do we need to focus it tighter in and increase the frequency to those people who live in that tighter 5 to 10 mile radius?
Got it. So really, it's a mix of density, type of treatment, and then of course common sense that people will drive to that location from there.
Right. And the clinics usually know. They know, like, well, we've had people drive from so long. Yeah, but do you have a lot of those people, or are those like kind of one-offs? Like, let's fish from the well-stocked pond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And for your own business, how are you acquiring customers for your business right now? And could you share things that are working versus that you tried and didn't work at all?
Sure. I love that. Right now, the last 3 of 4 clients that we've onboarded have come solely from my LinkedIn presence. It feels so weird to say that. Just want to put that out there. It just feels like what? Like it's just so, so weird.
This is where I highlight and tell everyone that, hey, doctors are on LinkedIn. Stop saying they're not.
Yeah, no, they are. Whether or not they're active, that's another story. And that's okay. Like people, whatever. There's a lot of lurkers out there, and there's nothing wrong with the lurkers, but I believe that everybody has something to say. And when you're ready, we're all going to be here to listen. And what you have to say is important, despite what your dumb brain is telling you. Not that you're dumb. I think you know what I'm saying. So 3 out of 4, and that 25% came from introducers, came from our network of people that know what we do, and I have a relationship with them, and they feel confident enough to introduce us to one of their clients or accounts or colleagues. Whether or not it ends up being a client of ours, like they know that if this person has a need and wants to talk, like, great, I can introduce Seth and maybe he'll shed some light and provide some insights for them. That's the name of the game, right? Just being able to share what we do and kind of keep people out of trouble, so to speak, from a financial perspective and what they choose to do with marketing. Like no hard selling, no pressure, stuff like nah. We do what we do, and maybe we could do something together if it makes sense. What we've tried that hasn't worked. So it's real hard to qualify that, because early on we did spend a lot of resources and tried a bunch of different things. We tried pay-per-click just because I wanted to experience it for ourselves. And we won't be doing that ever again. We did some LinkedIn ads, but that was early on. That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I know their capabilities have changed. And everybody thinks their business is different and special, and it's probably not, but I'm just like all those other people. I think that we're different and special. And so, my argument is that it's really hard to, put it out there in an ad format and have people really understand what we do. And we got some hits, and I had plenty of conversations about what it is we do, but, we quickly learned that we are not what they are looking for. They're looking for they want to spend $500 a month, and they just want it to work, and they want to see, 1,000 patients from that $500, and say, okay, great. Good luck. I hope you make it happen. They did not make it. So, there's so many different ways. Are we talking about for a practice? Are we talking about for a specialist? Are we talking about, another healthcare related entity that serves patients? Because you have to approach things like everything like an experiment, and you have to run your own experiments, and you have to figure out what works and what doesn't work, but why it doesn't work so that you can iterate. And if you cut your experiment off before it finishes, or you don't put enough resources to that experiment, well, your results are going to be skewed. You're not going to really understand what this is all about, and you're going to feel frustrated. And, I feel like what I said about, you and your mustache journey, Vivek, is that you have to really commit to it. I feel like it's the same thing with marketing and an approach that you really have to have clarity on what you're going to do, what the objectives are that you want, and how you're going to measure and what you're going to measure. I hate we're measuring this, or we're measuring, there's so much, there's so many KPIs. Like, just measure what matters. Just measure what, everybody loves to overcomplicate it, but don't. You're going to drive yourself crazy. Just figure out what's important to you and what you want to get for your spend. And what that is possibly just education and learning what doesn't work. But you have to go through it. You can't just appear on the other side with all this knowledge. You have to kind of go through it. And you can lean on specialists, and you can lean on experts to kind of consult you, and cold email works best, but you have to do it this way. Well, you got to do cold outreach in the DMs, but you got to do it this way. You got to have people. It's okay, maybe that can work. But you have to be open to it, and you have to be willing to see it through. We hired these consultants early on, these two young guys, and they were real sharp. And we entered, and they were just started their company. So we got them at a fair price, right? For what it was. But it was done with you. So it was me holding their hands and kind of learning, and they were doing cold email. And then we did some other things, all from the data side, and plugging in the wireframes and making these lists and having the headings match back to this, and how we're going to do the personalization tokens and do this, and the fun, cool stuff. And then what we're going to track, and then why this matters. And all of these things, it was kind of new to me. And so it was really neat to see it from that side. And we did get a couple clients, from that. But I think 2%, engagement. And I don't, unless you're doing cold email at a really high level, and I don't mean volume, I mean a high level of attention getting, the best way. We're not just going for an offended, visceral response. We're going for this is different. This is new and interesting, and getting someone to lean in and want to talk to you without you saying, here, grab 15 minutes on my call. Just stop. I don't even what? Who are you anyway? So there's just a lot of noise. And I think if you're going to do cold outreach, you gotta figure out a way to just break through the noise, and in a polite, fun way. Just don't make people feel gross about it. And that's rule number one of cold outreach.
I think it's past now. Cold outreach is, you're never going to get more than 2%, whatever that is, the lowest end of the number.
But you will annoy a lot of people, and you can also damage your brand in the process. So,
yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
Just a story from in my earlier days when we had no money as a company at the startup, and we were struggling, and we had no choice but to do cold outreach at that point. But this was, way back in 2016, 2015. I literally built a system where we broke every email system. We sent out 16,000 to 19,000 emails. I have still the data sheet of that. We were tracking week over week, and we sent out, and we generated from there almost 800K in revenue. Back then it worked, but the game wasn't the conversion even back then. It was just that brute force volume that even the 0.02% conversion to meeting was actually 30 meetings a month.
Right. Which is great, but you got to run enough water through the hose. And back then, that's a lot of water. And it's probably 3 times that now. But at what cost? And everyone's busy, right? Everyone's busy.
But even then, I'll tell you, even then, the thing was, I told every BDR, if at all we ever receive a response, like it was still there, but we never pushed the button. Like we will not do aggressive. It was like a 3 email in 3 weeks, but it was still continuous. And then what we did was, if ever we got a negative response, we'll give 24 hours because everybody's emotional. So you don't want to give you don't want to put, your gas on the oil, the
Right.
gas on the
Gas on
fire
fire,
while
yeah.
it's there. And so you wait for 24 hours, and next day you literally write them back that, hey, I apologize. I think I spoiled your mood or your day and I caught you at the wrong moment. Just to make things up, I would like to send you a Starbucks card, and leave it there. And you would get meetings out of that. We actually got
I
meetings.
think, you know what? Look, I think people just want other people to hold themselves accountable, right? To understand and take accountability and be a human being about it, and offer something with and it diffuses the situation, right? Because it can get hot. You got to diffuse it. And you know what? At the very least, if you send them a $5-10 gift card, it's like, and nothing happens for at least they feel good about it. You feel good. Okay. Everybody goes about their business. I like that approach. I do. I think it humanizes something that is very like cold, not just in name, but just in the process, and it's invasive. Not as invasive as you showing up in my door and knocking on it and having my dog bark and I'm on a call and but also kind of invasive. Like, I don't know, someone who gets bent out of shape from someone showing up in your inbox is like, it's your inbox, dude. Like, it's all calm down.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been great. I have 2 fun questions left. One, I like to call it a quick fire round, and we'll go with that first. So if you're ready, we'll start now. Okay. All right. So who is your favorite marketeer of all time?
Can't deny Ogilvy, Gary V, hot stuff. And I'm going to throw in, Kiss, the band Kiss from like back in the 70s, 80s. They knew what was going on before things were going on.
All right. And a healthcare marketing myth you wish could disappear today?
That physicians are bad at business.
Okay, so you're saying they're good at business?
Yeah, if they want to be. Absolutely. But saying that they're all bad, like a generalization, like not fair, ignorant, no. Stop saying that.
There. Meta ads or Google ads?
Meta
ads. Coffee or tea?
Both. Ever heard of dirty chai? Try it.
I don't like that.
Did I just break you? I just broke Vivek. Oh, sorry, Vivek. It's chai with a shot of espresso.
Eagles or Steelers?
Eagles. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, cool. Good. And last question. And this is, you told a lot of things about you, but if there is one personal thing that you haven't shared with anyone, but this is your chance to tell. No one in your professional circle know about it, and this is your chance to tell the world. What would that be?
In 5th grade, I was Captain Hook in the school's production of Peter Pan, and I absolutely crushed it.
But you know what? I just imagined you Jack Sparrow right now with your most...
The OG. It was. That's true. That's true, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
that's
fun.
Is it? Yeah. I'll see if I can't dig up a picture. I'll send it to you. Not cool.
Yeah,
not cool. It was cute for my parents, but now I'm like, man, it's so embarrassing.
Cool. We'll try to put it with the show notes. Send it to us if we can.
Great.
All right. So, Seth, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you, especially physicians who might want more patients for their practices?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. Seth Turnoff is my name. It's true.
Okay, so LinkedIn it is. We'll also put the link in the show's notes wherever you get it. What is the website for your business? Can you say it?
Sure, it's custommedicalmarketing.com.
All right,
it's the shortest URL in the world. I know.
Yeah. But we know how SEO works.
Can you tell me about it? Because I don't understand wizardry.
Well, all right. This has been great. Thanks for sharing all the insights, Seth, and thanks for candidly sharing your story, how you've your journey, a little bit part of it, and this has been fun. And thanks for also telling the secrets, which I will be tapping you for growing my mustache. So that's
Please do not hold back, Vivek. Listen, the pleasure is all mine. It was great to chat with you, and thank you very much for having me on the show.
likewise. Thanks.